Hi, everyone. Welcome to 10X Your LinkedIn Game. With so many people who are nearing the end of their workday or past the end of their workday in our group, I'm going to go ahead and get us started. Welcome, everyone. We are so excited at Mayple to be talking to Scott Aaron. Scott is an internationally acclaimed and award-winning online marketer, best-selling author, top podcaster, and speaker. And yes, we will be asking how you can get all those things done at such a high level. Most importantly, Scott is the go-to specialist for establishing brands on LinkedIn. Welcome, Scott.
Well, Mariah, grateful to be here, but also grateful to represent the East Coast as strong as we are today. And, just grateful to have a great discussion, answer any questions, and most importantly, lead with value. So just honored to be here.
Love to hear it. Same policy on LinkedIn as talking about LinkedIn.
Yes, always.
All right. Why don't we get started with a little more about why you decided to build an organic LinkedIn presence? Why did you choose it, and what impact has the platform made for you?
So going back to 2012, 2013, I was a traditional brick and mortar business owner. So I had a number of health clubs in the Philadelphia area. And as an independent contractor, as you are as a trainer, I was trading, time for dollars. So if I wasn't working, I wasn't earning. But I also wanted to streamline my process, and I wanted to make myself more available to the online space. And when I really sat down and started looking at my book of business, and I realized that the demographic of the people that I was serving were business professionals, I said, where can I go to network, to connect, to build relationships in the online space with business professionals? Because when people would train with me, they would stop at my gym first thing in the morning before work, or on their lunch break, or on their way home from work. So I went onto LinkedIn. I initially signed up for LinkedIn in 2009. My profile basically collected dust from 2009 to 2013. Went on there, started to change my profile around so it was more professional and highlighted what I do in online wellness, online nutrition, and started connecting, messaging, and I was booking calls left and right. And within 6 months, I was able to match what I was making in person as a personal trainer, but online. And I started scratching my head. I'm like, if I can do all of that online, then I really don't need to do the in-person stuff anymore, because I wanted to charge more of a premium price. And I knew the business professionals and the decision makers on LinkedIn would be able to do that. So my network started to take notice, meaning my friends and connections. And one in particular said, could you show me what you're doing? And I'm like, sure. I'm like, I really don't know what I'm doing, but I'll show you kind of like 10,000 foot view, the basics. So I, showed him what I did with my profile and the messages I was sending, the connections and all that stuff. And 2 weeks later, he texted me, and the text just read, "Dude, call me." So I called him, and I'm like, "Joe, what's up?" And he goes, "Listen," he goes, "I don't know what you figured out with this LinkedIn thing, but what you're doing works, because I have 14 appointments booked this week." He goes, "You should be teaching this." I said, "Teaching what?" He goes, "You should teach other coaches and consultants and service professionals how to generate leads and calls on LinkedIn the way that you just showed me." I said, "There's a market for that?" He goes, "Listen, you solved my issue. I know there's other people out there where they're having the same problem issue that I'm having. You can help those people." So it kind of took me a little bit of time to wrap my arms and head around that, because the idea was never to like sell a product or a program. That was not the intention. I was just looking to fill gaps and holes in my business, which I did. But don't forget, when you fill the own gaps and voids in your business and you get results, and then you show other people how to do the same thing, and the concept is proven, then you can take it to the market. So as other people were getting results, I went on a podcast, and I'm really dating myself here because this was done through 1-800-conferencecalling.com. If anybody ever remembers that, you would have to dial in with like some 18-digit number followed by pound. And anyway, it was through the phone. And I just was sharing all the things that I loved about LinkedIn and how much it helped me. So as I got off of that podcast, I went on to Facebook and I had 8 messages from people that wanted to pay me to teach them how to use LinkedIn. And I'm like, these people want to pay me to use a social media platform. And that's when like the light bulbs went off. I'm like, man, there is a need for this. People don't know how to use the platform. So I got a patent on the flow and the structure and my intellectual property of what I do on LinkedIn. And since then, obviously, my wife and I have grown and scaled our company. We work 3 days a week. We have a great team behind us. I still do everything organically and teach everyone how to do things organically. It's led to multiple best-selling books, a top podcast. I speak for Caesars Entertainment now. And it's just because I've been A, super consistent, B, I've branded myself the way that I wanted to, and C, I provide a ton of value. And it's really those 3 things that anyone could master and apply. They'll get the same results.
I'd like to ask a follow-up question. You'd mentioned accomplishing all these things for your business and only working 3 days a week.
Yeah.
That's a very popular and desirable option for the workforce right now with the burnout after COVID. How do you manage to get everything you need to get done, finished in that shorter time?
So I'll say is that I am a very, very structured person. So standard orders of operations, making sure that the daily order of operations are in place. My wife and I, we work the same way. We wake up the same time every day. We're in our home gym at the same time every single day. We sit down at our computers the same time every day, and we turn them off at the same time every single day. And what we have found is that when you have your own restrictions on the time that you have to get things done, you get a ton of stuff done. When you leave this like wide open window of time, that's when multiple tabs are open. That's when you're taking a break and going to watch some Netflix or, playing PlayStation. But when you know that you have from 11 to 4 on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays to get what you need to get done, you get more done in those 3 time frames than I would get done if I was just working whenever to whenever on Monday through Friday.
It makes a lot of sense.
It's a mindset thing. So that's the thing. If people are focused and you have a structure and a system in place of what you need to get done, you're going to get it done. But if you're throwing spaghetti at the wall, expecting it to stick, it's not going to. So if there's things that you want to accomplish, I think people just to reiterate, my wife and I just wrote a 255-page book collaboratively together in 36 days. And it's going to be launched on March 26th of this year. It's called the Feel Good Business Model. It's the basis of our business model, which is the Feel Good business model, where you have fun, flexibility, and freedom. And on February 1st, I said to her, let's start writing this book. And she goes, well, when do you want it to be released? I said, March 26th. And she goes, well, that means we need to get it to the publisher, editor, and book formatter by the second week of March. I said, exactly, let's do it. And we did it. And we had a timetable. We had a structure of what we needed to get done in the time that we had. And we chipped away and we got it done.
Makes sense. Let's talk a little bit more about doing things that matter. What are the most common mistakes that people make when trying to build their LinkedIn presence?
Well, I'm going to say some of these things you may want to hear and some of the things you may not want to hear. So put the earmuffs if you don't want to hear this stuff. Okay. I'm just kidding. Anyway, you need to hear this. So I would say the 2 biggest mistakes that people make. Number 1 is following what is called the spray and pray methodology, which is meaning you're connecting with anyone and everyone. You're spam messaging anyone and everyone. You're sending these 18 paragraph long drunkalog verbal vomit messages, selling and pitching. You're adding them to the notes, and you're literally doing nothing to build the relationship marketing aspect of your business. You get one shot at a great first impression. And if the initial outreach, if the initial point of contact between you and a new person you're connected to on LinkedIn is a sales pitch, do you think they're going to want to even hear about what you're offering? 10 out of 10? No. You have to, and this is what my wife and I always talk about, treat people the way that you would want to be treated in business. Do you want to be sold and pitched to the first time? If that's a heck no, then you shouldn't be doing it to other people. So that's number one. The second is automating the connecting and messaging on LinkedIn. So for what people don't realize this, when you signed up for your LinkedIn account, you put your name, your email, and then there's this little box that's at the bottom. And it says, click here to agree to the terms and conditions and user agreement of LinkedIn. No one read it. They just click it and then just hit open my account. Now, if people read the user agreement and they read the do nots of LinkedIn, one of the biggest do nots that is not just getting people restricted, but getting their accounts blocked, is they are connecting automated software that connects and messages for them, which is in direct violation of the user agreement that you accepted to join LinkedIn. And in all honesty, all these sub restrictions have taken place because of all these companies that have created this marketing software that claims they're following the user agreement of LinkedIn when it's in clear violation. So now we can't send more than 100 connection requests a week. Now, with the free version of LinkedIn, you can only send 10 notes to connection requests. And this is because of all the spam that's been going on through the automated processes that people should not be using, but are being told that they can. So I would say those are the two biggest mistakes that I see people making on LinkedIn.
And to clarify, does that mean do not use automated processes at all? Or is there a level that's safe for people?
What is approved automation wise is pre-scheduling content. So LinkedIn has their own automation pre-scheduling tool built in where you can pre-schedule your posts, you can pre-schedule your videos, your polls, your newsletter editions, anything of that nature. What LinkedIn does not like is any automated software that is mimicking human interaction and human relationship building. So there are a lot of people that are flying under the radar, but it's just a heed of advice. If you're using software that's doing that and you haven't gotten caught yet, you may not, but LinkedIn is not even giving people the benefit of the doubt anymore. They used to just restrict accounts and then give you a second chance. Now they're getting really strict and they're just deleting accounts. It happens every single day.
Yeah. We've seen more reports recently of influencers losing their account for that behavior. It really seems like they've started cracking down.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. The one aspect of a business that cannot be automated is human connection with another person. LinkedIn is a farming platform. It's not a hunting platform. So I always tell people the more seeds that you plant, the greater of a harvest you can reap. And that's the big thing. If you follow that structure, you're going to have great success on there.
Makes sense. I think we can get deeper here. How can brands make the LinkedIn algorithm work for them?
Yep. This is a great question. I actually talked about this the other day.
I might have read some of your posts and watched some of your content before this interview.
So for those that don't know, and this is just the honest truth, there's no way to really beat the LinkedIn algorithm because it's always 5 or 6 steps ahead of us. So there are things going on right now that we don't know about on LinkedIn because the developers are always launching and instituting different techniques and strategies. The tried and true, the best way to take full advantage of the LinkedIn algorithm, I would say, is a combination of 2 things. Number one is building the right kind of network of connections from either an ideal client or customer standpoint, and I classify as power partners or business allies, people that are maybe in similar professions or industries that would really align with the messaging that you have. When you have the right connections in your network, they're going to naturally want to engage with you. So that brings up the second part, is making sure that your content is just chock full of value. I mean, just endless amounts of value. And the mistake that I see people making is they're afraid to give too much value. Like, if I give too much, it's not going to leave any wiggle room for people to come back and say, well, I want to work with you now. That's not the case. You need to under promise and over deliver. But the other mistake that I see people making is that they're joining these things called engagement pods, which, again, LinkedIn is not in support of. And you can literally like find them on there. You can go into the search and you can just search like LinkedIn engagement pod. Now, here's the crazy thing. Some of these engagement pods, you have to pay to be a part of. So I know people personally who have paid $100, $200, $300 a month. And what an engagement pod is, it's not even industry similar, profession similar. It's just a mishmash of people that want to try to beat the LinkedIn algorithm by all liking and commenting on each other's stuff. And the thought process is, if we all post at 9 o'clock in the morning and we all go on and like and comment on each other's stuff, and someone sees, oh man, this person has 50 likes and 50 comments, they must be a big player. That's called fake vanity metrics. It's not real. It's been forced through the engagement of that engagement pod. How I counteract that, or my rebuttal to that, is make your content so good that people find it hard not to engage in your content. So I did a post the other day about engagement pods, and it blew up. I mean, literally, there was like 13, 14, 15 different comments of people like, thank you for sharing this. Oh, this is so, I see this all the time. If you see someone going from 0 to hero in like 3 weeks, I'm telling you, it smells fishy to me. And here's how you can test it out. So if you see anyone that is getting, literally, they could put a picture up of their foot and write some content and it blows up, you know something's up. If every single post that they put out there goes quote unquote viral, I don't know, that doesn't pass the smell test to me. That smells a little bit fishy. But if you dig a little bit deeper, and if you roll through the comments, just passively just rolling through, and you see the same people, every single post, liking, commenting, they're in an engagement pod. And I'm telling you right now, these people will deny it. Up, down, left, right, up, down, left, right. Listen, I can see right through it. You're not going to, you can't fool me. I've been in the game too long. I've seen every single thing that is out there. I know what's going on. I know what people are trying to do. And here's the thing. The vanity is one aspect, but the bigger question is it even helping their business grow? I don't care how many followers you have. I don't care how many people engage in your content. What's it doing to your bank account? Is it impacting more people? Are the right people seeing your content? And chances are, if that is a mishmash engagement pod, that means the people that are seeing it are a mishmash group of people that may not even be able to benefit from your products, your services, or your offerings.
Absolutely.
I get a little inspired and a little bit energized by that question, because I don't want people to fall for those traps. It's just, when your business reputation is crushed, you're never going to get it back. And I'm so cognizant of that. And I don't want anyone to have their reputation destroyed, but that's one of the quickest ways to do it.
Yeah. And even if you get out with your reputation intact, you have that experience of seeing your posts go to thousands of people. and wondering why no one's buying your product. And is it something wrong with my marketing versus my product? And so understanding what works and what doesn't can help you make sure that you find what works.
And Mariah, here's the other thing. People need to understand that 80% of the LinkedIn population are what are called passive engagers, meaning they're scrollers. Only 20% of the LinkedIn population actually engages in content. 8 out of every 10 people just scroll, read, and they like it in their head. They comment in their head. They're just not taking action. So don't fall into that vanity metric trap. Something my dad always told me as a little kid, and it rings true to today. He says, when one person says something, there are 9 others that feel the same exact way. They just have not said it. So the same thing could be applied to your content. If only one person is liking and commenting, I guarantee you there's 9 other people that like it and would comment. They just haven't done it.
Exactly. Yeah, that first month of posting on LinkedIn in particular can be so rough when you're posting and no one's liking or sharing or commenting.
And don't give up.
Yeah, and it seems like don't give up is the biggest piece of advice for the first month. But are there other elements that successful LinkedIn posts share that can kind of help you get through that doldrums?
Yes. So the big focus that everybody needs to have is really nailing down a pain point that your network has. So the people that are on here live, I just want to kind of take you through an exercise. So drop into the comments, what is the demographic, profession, or industry that you are serving? So in the comments, just, it could professional services, lawyers, small business owners. You have to first know, I'm going to take you through an exercise, those that want to participate. Who do you want? So healthcare. Awesome, Samantha. That's great. So what are some of the industries that you're targeting? Because the thing is, if you don't know who you're targeting, you're not going to know how to connect with them. Financial services, Christina says. Startups, school admins, awesome. Legal, insurance based faith policyholder cases, awesome. So here's the thing. You need to start with the people that you're looking to serve. Okay? So now that you guys have done that, so congrats, that's the first step. Step number 2, type in the comments below, what is the number one pain point or area of struggle your target market has? So using me as an example, I'm just going to use, and while I'm giving you guys time to type right now, using me as an example, converting connections into sales. That's one of the biggest pain points that people in my network struggle with. So I do a lot of trainings on that. So with all of you guys in mind, CEOs and SMEs, professional services, retail wholesalers, entrepreneurial training, what is the number one pain point that your ideal target market has? What are they struggling most with? Because this is key. This is key. And I want you to type it in the chat. When you can connect the dots between who your target audience is and the specific pain point that they have, all you're doing is filling the gap in between with solutions. So Christina says lack of accurate information. Mel says education, lack of respect for profession. So what you need to do is and this is an exercise that my wife and I take people through, not knowing when they need an attorney, converting their market efforts to actual leads to close. Awesome. So right now, all of you guys are building out your content calendar for what you should be posting on LinkedIn. Everything should be directed at solving their problem. So here, going back to something that we talked about earlier, when you guys wrote down who you serve, those are the people that you should be looking to connect with every single day. You should be searching for retailers and wholesalers. You should be searching for entrepreneurs. You should be searching for policyholders, startups, school administrators, financial services, healthcare professionals. Those are the people that you should be building your network around. Now, the nucleus of what you're going to be doing is the content that you're going to share that solves their problems. So when you're creating and crafting content, you're looking to give advice. And using Paul as an example, He could do a video or a post one day that says, 3 tips on how to convert your marketing efforts into actual leads. Number 1, do this. Number 2, do this. Number 3, do this. Comment below which tip helped you the most, right? So Julie can do a LinkedIn Live, much like Mariah and I are doing right now, on, here are 3 instances where you need an attorney, and here's how to choose one. And you go on there and you do like a little 10 to 15 minute training, kind of painting some pictures and clarifying situations where an attorney will be needed and which is the best one. As far as Mel, education, lack of respect for the profession, right? So Mel could do a LinkedIn poll that says, do you feel there is a lack of respect in the education industry? 1, yes, 2, no, 3, other, comment below. So all these things that you're doing are just marketing to and with your ideal clients. So you're bringing them closer to you instead of pushing them further away. You have to put yourself in what I call the passenger side perspective, right? It's the person that you're looking to market with. It's the person on the other side of the computer screen. So if all this has made sense so far, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. I just want to make sure you guys are with me. So you start with your target market, that industry or that profession. Then the second step is figuring out what are the main pain points or area of struggle these people are having. Third, now I need to create and craft content that directly speaks to those pain points, giving them free solutions. Right? You have to under promise and over deliver. You have to build the know, like, and trust. People don't work with and don't buy from anyone that they don't know, like, or trust. But the number one way to bridge the gap between someone who doesn't know you, who does know you, and wants everything that you offer is the value that you provide and the solutions that you have with the content that you're going to post. And it seems like everyone agrees. That's good.
Yep. It's a sea of yeses. You talked a little bit specifically about how engagement matters, but what truly matters is conversions and driving revenue from your LinkedIn profile. How can brands create content that drives conversions as well as engagement?
So the one big thing that I want people to understand is that LinkedIn is your landlord and you are the tenant. So I want that to sink in for a second. LinkedIn is your landlord and you're the tenant, meaning you are renting space on the LinkedIn platform. So what you need to understand is that we don't own any of our social media profiles. We don't own our LinkedIn profile. We don't own our Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, X, YouTube, Discord, whatever you're using. We don't own any of it. So you need to make sure that you're doing everything in your power to take what you're doing online and get it offline. Now, this can be done in a multitude of ways. First being having clear and specific calls to action on your LinkedIn profile. Now, for me, anyone that visits my LinkedIn profile, which I invite you all to do just so you can kind of get an example, within my headline, it says what I do, where I'm from, follower count, connections, but underneath, I have a very clear call to action. And that call to action, which is a clickable link, which all of you guys have the ability to do so as well, it says get on our book list, our new book wait list. And if someone clicks on it because they want to, get on the wait list for discounted copies of our new book, which comes out in a couple of weeks, they click on that, takes them to a landing page, puts their name and email. Now we've taken them from online to offline. So now I can nurture them offline, which was where a lot of the conversions come from. So if you don't have that on your profile and you're wondering, well, Scott, I don't have that. What do I need to do? Well, it's as simple as A, turning on LinkedIn creator mode, B, going to the top of your profile, hit the edit pencil underneath of your banner, scroll to the bottom, and you're going to see an area where you can add a custom link to your profile. And that is where you can put your website, you can put a landing page, your calendar link for people to book a call with you. And then it says, what text do you want? Because if you don't put the text, they'll just have a URL. And people are like, what does that URL even mean? It's just a bunch of, www dots. That's where you would put book a free call, check out my website, schedule a call, check me out, learn more here. So now you're giving that call to action. That same call to action, you can actually add to the featured content section on LinkedIn. So the featured content section is where you can feature your newsletter. You can feature a podcast that you have, a book that you wrote, a calendar that you have for people to book a call. But in regards to content, the number one way to include calls to action that lead from online to offline is a LinkedIn newsletter. So just drop a Y or a yes or an N or a no if you do or do not have a LinkedIn newsletter. And I'm going to explain why this is one of the biggest things that you need to deploy and implement right away. So Y or yes, N or no, if you do or do not have a LinkedIn newsletter. All right, so now we're seeing a sea of no's, and we want to turn those sea of no's into a sea of yes. Awesome. Mary said she just started one. Wonderful. So in order to start your LinkedIn newsletter, if you've turned on LinkedIn Creator Mode, that is one of the free creator tools that you have. So, and then all you have to do, I actually have a tutorial on this on my LinkedIn newsletter. So if any of you go to my profile, you click on my newsletter, it's called LinkedIn Tips and Updates. You can scroll through some of my past editions. I teach you how to do it. But high level, easiest thing to do is when you go onto the LinkedIn desktop, there's a little orange button where it says start a post, where it says write an article. And you're going to click write an article. And on the top right-hand side, there's going to be a drop-down menu where it says manage. And from there, it's going to give you an option to create a newsletter. And then all you have to do is name it. So mine is called LinkedIn Tips and Updates. The second thing you do is you put a little description, 100 characters long, a picture of you, which you're the face of the newsletter, and you hit create newsletter. Done. Now, every article that you write is now a newsletter edition for your newsletter. Now, here's why it's important. Now, Julie says no newsletter, mostly due to lack of time. So here's a little workaround with that. Here's a little workaround around that. Number one, you can pre-schedule your newsletter editions. So what you can do is you can sit down on a Sunday and you literally could write out 3 or 4 newsletter editions and pre-schedule them to go out once a week for the next 4 Fridays. So now you're a month ahead. Now you don't have to worry about it. So if you don't have the time, I'm totally cognizant of that. Just block out maybe 60 to 90 minutes one day a week and just pre-schedule that stuff. So if that's clear and if that makes sense so far, just drop a Y or a yes in the chat. You're going to turn creator mode on. You're going to click write an article. You're going to click on manage. You're going to hit create a newsletter. And then you're going to do that. What if you already have I love that question, Karina. I love that. This is a wonderful question. Mariah, if you can highlight her comment, just throw it up on the screen real quick so people can see it. So Karina asked, what if we already have a blog on our website? Do we just repurpose that content? That is a 1000% yes. If you have an existing blog that you've already written, don't reinvent the wheel and don't create any extra work that you don't actually have to create. Take that blog, copy it, and paste it as your LinkedIn newsletter. So Karina, amazing question. And yes, please do repurpose that. I recommend that 10 out of 10 times every single time. Now, here's the beautiful thing about a LinkedIn newsletter. Number one, when you create it, LinkedIn automatically sends an invitation for every single one of your current connections to subscribe. So if you have, Jenny also asked another great question. If you want to highlight that one really quick. Jenny asked, is it better to do the newsletter on your personal profile or your company? Your personal. Your personal will always have more connections than your company profile, because in order for you to grow a company profile and you have the 250 invite credits per month, it's based on the first connections that you have. So always create the newsletter from your personal profile, not a company page. So when you create the newsletter, LinkedIn sends an invitation out to every one of your first connections to subscribe, and any connection that accepts thereafter automatically gets an invitation to subscribe. So it grows automatically. But here's the beautiful thing. Every newsletter edition that you create, LinkedIn personally emails every single one of your subscribers your latest email. And this is where the online to offline comes in. Within that newsletter, you can have a call to action and add a hyperlink that when people click on it through the email that LinkedIn sends them or joins the conversation on LinkedIn, that could be to book a free call. That could be to go to your website, download your free this, go to my website here, book a call here. So now, through leveraging the content that you're creating in your LinkedIn newsletter is going to enable you outside of your LinkedIn profile to take your connections from online to offline. So Maya says, what if the company has more followers? Would you recommend writing it from your profile? So Maya, I think what this comes down to is personal preference. So I'm the face of our business, meaning I'm the personal and business brand. So I want to brand myself as the voice and the advocate of what I'm teaching and training on within that newsletter. But if you are behind the scenes and the business name or the company is more the face of what you're doing, then that's where you would want the company to be producing the LinkedIn newsletter. So if, like me, we own a coaching and consulting company where I'm the face, I'm going to want me to be the face of that LinkedIn newsletter. If I had a company name where I was kind of behind the scenes running the organization, that's where I would use the newsletter from the company page instead. But great question.
All right. We have about 5 minutes left. So I want to make sure that the audience gets a chance to ask any questions they have. If you all have questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat.
I'm really good at rapid fire. So whatever questions that you have, just drop them into the chat and I will rattle off as many answers as possible in 5 minutes. My wife and I did a workshop this one time and we did like a bonus Q&A session, and there were 78 questions that I answered in about 35 minutes. So, and something that I believe in is you have to ASK to GET, you have to ask in order to get. So if there's something that you guys want clarification on, so Oliver says, and you could just start throwing these up on the screen, Mariah. So Oliver says, how can you 10x company page followers? 2 ways that you can do that. Number one, use the 250 invite credits per month that you are allotted, which means you can invite 250 of your first connections every single month. So use those up. Number 2, make sure that you are posting content from your company page at least twice a week that is highlighting and showcasing that to the followers of your current company page, because if they engage in your content, it's going to show up on those followers' feeds, which gives your company page visibility and will also engage people to follow it as well. That's the easiest way, those 2 things. Jenny had a question. If you have a 2-sided market, is there a good way to have a separate LinkedIn audience under one profile? So it's a great question. I mean, we have multiple. So we work with business coaches, business consultants, and service professionals. So we have 3 target audiences. So what I would suggest, Jenny, is make sure if you can find some overlapping commonalities between pain point areas and education information wise that would speak directly to the two different sides where they can be married in the middle, you can still leverage one profile for both target audiences. So you can dedicate specific days to send connections to this market one day, this market another, and then you can curate content that speaks to both at the same time without having to get confusing with your messaging. Yaram says, can you talk about cadence of posting the good, the bad, and the ugly? I like a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday posting schedule. So video Monday, poll question for market research Wednesday, long form post Friday in the form of an article or newsletter edition. The good is making sure that everything is value added and is solving people's problems and giving people tangible tips and takeaways. The bad and the ugly fall into the same category: never sell and pitch, always deliver value. Maya says, what do you consider more important, increasing followers or increasing engagement? They actually go hand in hand. As you increase your following, you will automatically increase your engagement, and vice versa. As your engagement increases, your following will increase. So the only way that your following will increase is if your engagement and the content that you're producing is value added, because it's giving people a reason to say, you know what? I want to follow Maya because she provides so much value. I don't want to miss anything, so I'm hitting that follow button. So they go hand in hand. What is the most important? What is the most important you should be posting from your company page? You know, that's I would say up to the company's discretion. I see company pages produce video content. I see company pages doing market research polls or just doing long form articles or newsletter editions. It's really a matter of what you feel your audience would best resonate with and what they're going to most interact with. So are they visual learners, meaning they like watching video and engaging that way? Or are they more, written learners where they like reading through and then liking and commenting that way? And the only way to determine that, Maya, is actually to do some split testing. So from the company page, I would share multiple facets of different types of content and then just kind of look at the KPIs and the analytics and see what your audience is responding best to. Produce more of what is working and less of what's not. Varaya says, if I'm repurposing my monthly blog straight to LinkedIn, do you know if Google will penalize it as a duplicate content? Not to my knowledge, because it's still getting pumped through the LinkedIn search engine. So it's still populating that way. And Varaya, in all honesty, there are so many people that repurpose the same content. So people have automations set up where it goes out as a blog on their website, podcast show notes, and an email to their email list. So I don't think that will affect that one bit. Julie says, is it true that LinkedIn doesn't like posts that have hashtags inside the content? Also, do they spam the post if there are more than 7 hashtags? So there's some truth to that. 3 hashtags is optimal. So no less than 3, no more than 3. So 4 on up really starts to dilute it. 1 and 2 is not going to be enough, and here is why. People are filtering out their LinkedIn news feeds by following certain hashtags. So only use hashtags that A, relate to the content that you just posted, and B, the target audience that would most likely follow the same hashtag. And Boris says, what is the value of highly relevant reshare from someone else? Resharing is really easy. The best thing to do if you are a resharer, I never recommend it. I don't do it. I just tell people just create your own. But I understand that people, it's easier for them to go off of someone's content. If you're going to reshare with your own thoughts, which is an option. And then that way you can add specific thoughts, ideas, concepts that link to the credited post that's being shared. That way it's still positioning you as a thought leader through the voice of someone else's content. Great question, though.
All right. Oh, one more.
2 more. All right, 2 more. Will LinkedIn penalize posts that include links to take users off the platform? No, they do not. Some people will put it in the content, the description of the post. Some people will put it in the comments, but If it's relevant to the content and the people want what you're offering, the only thing you don't want to do is put like sales pages. Like I saw someone the other day that was selling a product. It's not, you don't want to put sales links, but a link to a podcast for people to listen to it, a link to a webinar, or maybe a landing page for a workshop. That's completely fine. And Julie's last question: is it a good strategy to reshare the same post and blog like 30, 60, 90 days out on your company's page? If it's engaging your audience the right way and it's a high performing type of content, then yeah, absolutely reshare it. Because again, I'm a big believer in analytics and social proof. So if my network is telling me, hey, I liked this topic, I would like to see it again and hear from it again. So that is completely fine to reshare that every 30, 60, 90 days. Because at that point, if you're consistently posting on LinkedIn, that post that you did 30 days ago is going to be completely drowned out by the other stuff. So it'll come up as a brand new post that people are going to re-engage, or new people are going to see it if you've been building your network in that 30-day time span.
All right. Scott, I think that just set a record for most questions answered most helpfully in the shortest amount of time.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. I can see the audience is already reaching out to say thank you. This was incredibly helpful.
Pleasure. My pleasure.
For everyone watching, we'll be sharing information on Scott's book, and go follow him on LinkedIn for more incredible content like this. Lots of thank yous coming in.
Oh, thanks, guys. Great questions, by the way. And, I'm here to serve and to help, and just to ease maybe some of the issues that people have on LinkedIn. And it's the long game approach. Just treat LinkedIn like a marathon, not like a sprint. And you will have massive, massive success. And that's what I want for each and every one of you.
All right. We're looking forward to seeing you all grow your profiles. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye, everybody.